Hello, hello, everyone. Oh, let me see. Let's get the right microphone. Oh, it doesn't want to see my microphone. Let's see. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for coming. The way to go live on YouTube is not the easiest thing in the world to do. It always seems like it should be a whole lot easier. And it also won't see my nice microphone. So that's a bummer. So good to see so many of you here today. I am excited to share about the daily card. The daily card is the one productivity tool that we have found in our community works so well for everyone. That is not true with most productivity things. Most productivity like particular planners or different things, different cleaning checklists. You need to find what works for you, and someone else's productivity hack, productivity list, planner, setup usually doesn't work when you try to just cut and paste from someone else's working plan to your own life. You have to take it and adapt it and apply it to your own life. But what we have found in Convivial Circle, my community helping homemakers be more faithful and fruitful in their homes, is that the daily card works pretty much for everyone. And I think that's because it is so flexible. We have so many ladies doing it in so many ways, and it's good to see in the chat a lot of familiar names and ladies from our community that I hope will share their applications today and how they make it work in their life. But we'll talk about how to adapt it and make it work for you, because we have a lot to do as moms, and we want to make sure that we do the right thing. And it is so easy when we start to think about being more productive, getting more done at home. We easily fall into the trap of being overwhelmed, or maybe taking standards from someone else's life and trying to match or compete with someone else. And that's not what we should be doing. We should be looking at the opportunities and the resources that God has given each one of us, and then do our best with what we have. We want to be stewarding our resources, making the most of them, being the profitable servant, where no matter how many talents you've been given, you take them all and you invest them in the kingdom, in people, for God's glory and not our own. And that's going to look different for each one of us. But even though it's going to look different, for all of us, that's going to take work and effort, right? No one gets off the hook for putting forth effort to do our best with what we've been given. That's a part of what it means to offer ourselves as living sacrifices of praise. And that means that even the mundane things that we have to do at home are important works of mercy and of service, not just to our people, but to God. Whatever God has given us to do, we want to do heartily, do that work heartily as unto the Lord. And so when we become overwhelmed, we're being taken out of the game. And it's a temptation that we have to know how to resist. And I think that the daily card is one super practical tip for moving from overwhelm to organized. And I don't mean organized like, everything looks put together and we feel on top of it all the time. Sometimes when we are looking around for different hacks or tips for getting organized, we want things to look a certain way and feel a certain way, when what we really need to be focusing on is, am I stewarding the resources I've been given in a way that is responsible and fruitful and faithful? That's the criteria. So we want to get organized and be more productive in order to, I lost my train of thought. We want to be organized and productive because we want to be prepared. We want to be ready to walk in the good works that God has given us to do. We want to find joy in that work that He has given us to do, which means identifying what it is and then recognizing when we're doing it. But it's so easy to think about the things that we aren't doing, or to fixate on the way things look or how they measure up to other people, rather than to what God is calling us to day by day. So now I'm going to see if I can get my slides going, because I have slides. And slides are nice. Is this going to do it? This is not it. We want to go to Keynote. Those are my slides. And okay, maybe not. Show Keynote and not my video. Here we go. All right. Oops. Okay, so we're going to talk today about the daily card and applying it in each one of our particular lives in different ways. The daily card is super simple. Here we go. I don't want to block my slides. And I also want to be visible. All right, we'll see if that does it. And then I want to see the chat still. We'll get settled here. All right. Okay. So, if you are new here, you haven't come to one of these, I do have giveaways to do near the end. So for those of you who are live, I kind of pay attention to who is commenting and asking questions and participating. And I have stickers and bookmarks, and I'll pick 4 or 5 people. I'll just call out your name, and then if you email our email address that's right here, support@simplifiedorganization.com, then we will get your address and send you some stickers. I've got one that says learn to love what must be done, keep calm and iterate bookmark, 4 steps to do when you're overwhelmed on your bookmark here, and an organize your attitude sticker. So a fun little prize pack to reward participation and all of that. There's even a little bonus at the end for those of you, for everyone who's here live, a little limited time bonus for everybody. So do stay tuned, and thank you for showing up live. If you are registered, if you get the email to come over, then you'll also get the replay link and the slide links and reminders about the different bonuses and different things going on. So if you are not registered, then you'll want to go, if you're just, a friend just forwarded you the YouTube link, or you are just landing here straight from YouTube, then you want to go to simplyconvivial.com/CEO. This is our CEO hour. We do these workshops every once in a while. And you'll be registered for this workshop to get the freebies and the replay afterward. And the chat disappeared on me. It like just totally disappeared. Where did it go? I hope I didn't turn it off. And then I can't see the chat. That would be sad. Wow, I don't even know what happened. It totally looks different on my end. So this is not necessarily a good thing. Stream status not connected. I clicked something weird. I have no idea if I'm live now or not, but I think I messed something up. Lisa, if you are here, could you send me in Slack what you are seeing? Because it looks to me like I accidentally clicked something and turned us off. This is super embarrassing. I maybe need to do more of these so that I am more practiced. You're live. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I can't see the chat. So Lisa's going to have to tell me questions people have, and Lisa will pick the winners. No pressure, Lisa. And I will keep going. All right. Maybe I will do better not getting distracted by the chat. So while you watch, you're going to want a pen and paper to take notes, to get some ideas. And we do have a special bonus for this workshop that will help you figure out your priorities. We're going to talk a little bit later about understanding your priorities and working from those. And we have a brain dump prompt list that will help you figure out where your priorities need to be. So if you want to get that bonus, then share this with a friend. You can share an email that you sent. You can share the link, simplyconvivial.com/CEO with a friend. And you could just also use the YouTube link. I think there's a share button on your end for this live YouTube, so you can do that. And so let's keep going. This workshop is for busy Christian moms who have a lot on their plates and they don't know how to get it all done. You're trying to be productive, you're trying to do the right thing, and you just aren't sure whether or not you are doing the right thing. If you feel like you have too much to do each day, so much to do that you don't even know whether or not you're doing the right thing. All right, I am blocking the slides. Got it. I can do that. Here we go. That's better, huh? All right. Someday we will figure out the tech. I think I do just need to do a whole bunch of these so that I can be practiced and know how the technology works, right? All right. So if you don't know what your priorities are, I think that's the biggest struggle we hear in Convivial Circle, that there is so much to do and you don't know what the priorities are. The bonus for this workshop is kind of a process to think through different areas, to figure that set of priorities out, but really a lot of times it comes from practice. And we're going to talk about that later in this workshop. But the problem that I want to help you avoid the most is ending the day feeling dissatisfied with what you got done. I think that is one of the worst things. Especially because I feel like a lot of times we as moms have spent the day doing what we are supposed to be doing. But then that doesn't match up with what we thought we would do. And so we spend our time fixating on all the things we didn't do and end the day feeling bad because we are spending our time thinking about the things that we wished we had done and didn't do, instead of recognizing that we did the good work that God put in front of us that day. Therefore, we should rejoice and we should be grateful for the work that we were actually called to, instead of thinking like, I should have done all that. All those things don't really count unless I also do the things I put on my list, right? So we're going to talk about what we put on our own lists. Or, you just get to the end of the day and it's the end of the day and you're like, I don't even know what I did today. I'm just going to sleep, just stop, and we'll try again tomorrow doing, I don't even know what, more of the same. So if you ever feel like that, feel like you have too much to do, you don't know what your priorities are, you wish you had done other things in your day, or you don't even know what you did in a day, then this workshop is for you. I'm Mystie Winckler. I know we have a lot of new faces and new people here on this workshop. So I'll just do a little quick introduction. I am a homeschooling mom of 5, although I have 2 graduates. I'm my first grandbaby on the way. It's super exciting. So 2 graduates, 3 still being homeschooled, 2 high schoolers and a middle schooler. My husband and I extend hospitality regularly. My husband is literally building our own home. We're currently renting, and he is building by himself, basically, it had better be our dream home because this is it. So that's a project. If you subscribe to the emails that I send out every Saturday, I send out a little construction update with a picture of what our status is. My husband's currently building the interior walls on the main level, and there's a second level to come. So next up, I think we're supposed to order windows. So that's kind of big. So that's a big thing on our, kind of productivity project things that we are doing. And I had a friend recently tell me that my problem is that I suffer from delusions of grandeur when it comes to my to-do list. We were talking about like just where we keep our lists and that kind of thing. And she puts things on the calendar if they really have to happen. And I'm like, I can't do that. That would just clutter up my to-do list. And anyway, she said, that's because you suffer from delusions of grandeur. I would like to think I can do all the things. I can make a list like no one else. And I love to have a ton of projects in the works. And then if I get overwhelmed, everything comes crashing down. So the daily card has been such a better coping mechanism for me than keeping a million lists and scrambling, trying to keep on top of all the things that my mind is whirling to do. So the daily card is my reality check. And the daily card, I know, works for people who suffer from delusions of grandeur when it comes to productivity. And it also works for people who just feel like maybe they have nothing to do. You don't even know, you don't like projects, productivity isn't your obsession. but you still feel like you don't want to waste your days. The daily card is great. I also run Convivial Circle, which is an online community that helps women to excel at homemaking and do life cheerfully. There are courses, chats, weekly meetups, and all kinds of stuff. I have 2 podcasts. The Simply Convivial podcast, you'll find it wherever you listen to podcasts with this brand new cover. And the Simplified Organization podcast is this one that says Learn to Love What Must Be Done, because that's the subtitle of my new book called Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. Simplified Organization are interviews with other busy moms, ladies from our community, just anyone that I think would be great to come on and talk about managing life cheerfully. And then Simply Convivial is more of a pep talk, super short, 10-minute focus sessions to help us keep the right things front and center in our minds. I have 3 books: The Convivial Homeschool, How to Use a Planner Without Wasting Time, and Simplified Organization, Learn to Love What Must Be Done. So I've had a few projects in the works over the years, and the daily card is what helps me to stay sane and to be sure that I am focusing on the right things. So what is a daily card? A daily card is a short to-do list that you remake every single day, daily. A daily card. We should not be making our to-do lists for each and every day from at the beginning of the week, or maybe the month even, or however, in whatever kind of terms you like to plan in. When we plan out too far in advance, then our plans are going to get more and more unrealistic as it goes on. And as moms, even making a plan for what to do, 2 days from now could be making an unrealistic plan, because we are caretakers. We are caring for people, and people are unpredictable. And sometimes we make plans that are really just predictions of the way we would like our life to go. And that's just not realistic. It's just not going to work. So we make a short to-do list each and every day, looking at where we are currently at. Not just where we are at, but where our family is at, what's on the calendar, where should our time and attention be going each day. And by short, I mean 3 things. I saw, all over the productivity world, I like to read productivity books and podcasts and everything. And over you will find people say, choose your top 3 for the day. And so for years, I tried this out myself. And I said, well, they say choose your top 3, but, they just have one job, and that's what they're talking about. And I am a mom and homemaker, and I am a homeschooler, and I have this online stuff that I do. So I am going to choose 3 things in each of these vocation areas every day. And so I spent probably 2 years doing a top 9, basically. And, it was better than what I had before, because it was shorter than what I had before. I would just have this list of things that I would use over the course of a week or 2 weeks or a month, and kind of pick from it each and every day, or not, or just stare at it, wide-eyed, like a deer caught in the headlights, and then just do whatever was in front of me, actually. And so narrowing it down to 9 3 things in each area helped me keep things balanced between the different pieces and parts of my life. And that was a start in narrowing things down. But eventually um, I don't even remember why exactly, but um, probably it was just that I never actually got all 9 things done every day. That might have been it. But at some point, I started saying, well, everyone says 3. Maybe I should try just doing 3 things. And so I did. I narrowed it down from 9 to 3. And suddenly it started making more sense. I started really having to choose my priorities and be more realistic. And I started accomplishing my list more often than not, which was not the case when I was choosing 9 things for the day. So a short list is really, really short. A top 3 for your day. And we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but that does not mean that you're only going to do 3 things in a day. I know, we have more than 3 things to do in a day. But the daily card is an in-your-face reminder of those top priorities. And the real kicker is that when you do those 3 things in a day, you are not allowed to call yourself a failure. And you're not allowed to think about all the things you didn't do. You get to sigh in satisfaction and relief and joy that you did the important things today. So we really mean choose the top 3. Turns out all those productivity people are onto something. And even for us busy moms with a lot on our plates, even we can choose 3 and it will make a difference. So when we choose the top 3 that we're doing each day, it helps us to acknowledge what's really on our plates, what's taking up our time and our attention and our energy. And it will take practice, because I think a lot of times our planning comes down to wishful thinking. We're not really preparing ourselves for the work that's in front of us. We are instead imagining the way we wish our life would go, our day, our week, and we're writing things down according to ideal circumstances, and imagining that if we just piece things together rightly on paper or in our minds, or maybe in our organization setup with whatever, then things are going to suddenly go our way. But we do not want to waste our time with wishful thinking planning. It really is a waste of time. So instead, we want to focus on what matters and really pay attention to whether or not we are doing the things that matter. And we're going to banish the wishful thinking planning, because it's not really planning, it's just daydreaming. It's daydreaming maybe with a pretty planner and stickers and all the things, but it's just wishful thinking. It's just daydreaming. And we don't have time for that. That's not actually preparing us for our real life, and that's not helping us be faithful and fruitful in the moment. But our planning can help us be faithful and fruitful and prepared in the moment. Sometimes we have spent so much time in wishful thinking planning that we recognize is just a waste of time, and so we go to the other extreme and give up planning and say, well, so I'm just not going to do any planning at all. I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants. I'm going to do what's in front of me. And that might be better than spending time in wishful thinking planning. But those are not the only 2 options. There is also spending a a concentrated amount of time remembering what your priorities are so that you can choose your priorities and the most important things in the moment. And the daily card is one of the tools that helps you do that. And I think that we have 3 productivity problems as moms. The first one is having too much to do. And maybe that's a little bit of a misnomer. I think that's a phrase that we often use. We tell ourselves that we have too much to do, and we just have a lot to do. But having a lot to do is actually not the same thing as having too much to do. We do have too much to do if we put all of our wishful thinking on our to-do list. That's too much. That's not realistic. So, if we feel like we have too much to do, we really need the daily card because we need to focus on what matters. If we're trying to focus on everything, then we end up focusing on nothing. That's just life. That's real. There's no such thing as a focus on everything. And the daily card helps us zero in on what we really need to be doing. We need to think about what takes our time and our thought right now and acknowledge that on our to-do list. So we're not just thinking about daydreaming awesome productivity projects. We are saying, you know what, right now, I have a sick kid. And so my priority is taking care of my child, giving them the attention and the care and the, extra comfort that they need. That's going to take my time and attention today. So that's going on my top 3. It's not a project. It's the kind of thing that probably is not going to feel productive. But when we acknowledge on our top 3 where we are being called to put our time and attention right now, then we are going to start noticing that we have momentum and traction that we were not acknowledging, not recognizing, and downplaying or even dismissing, which doesn't help. We want to put gas on the fire. Is that right? For the ignition. And that probably could have been a metaphor that worked if I thought that one out ahead of time. But we need to pay attention to what our current season is, where we are being called to serve in our families and communities right now, and acknowledge that by choosing those things each and every day. A fresh start, a fresh list every day. There's no backlog. You get to do what David Allen calls renegotiating with yourself each and every day and choose where your time and attention needs to go. I don't know how many of you have heard the old metaphor. I think it was a Stephen Covey thing, where you have a jar, and if you put all the sand and gravel in first, then none of your big rocks will fit. When we think, it's just the little things here and there, we'll get started with that, and then there's no space for the big rocks. But if you put the big rocks in first, all the gravel and sand filters in and finds a place. So if you need to fit more into your day, you do that by starting with the big rocks, not the sand and gravel. But what those big rocks are will change according to your day and the needs of your family, but also your season. Because I see, people are already asking, these are the very typical questions. Does that mean that laundry and meals and school count as your top 3? And the answer to that question is it depends on your season. Like if you are in survival mode, in postpartum mode, if you are really trying to work on preparing better food or becoming a better cook or being more efficient in the kitchen, then meals might need to be on your top 3. If it's taking up your brain space and your time in a way that's like not typical, then it needs to go on your top 3. But if, you kind of have a system for meals and for laundry and you know exactly where it's going to go in your day, it's not really a big deal, it doesn't take up a lot of time, it doesn't take up a lot of your brain space, then it doesn't. And then we all have those times where it's like, but we just got back from vacation, or, well, I didn't actually run my routines, so now I have a backlog of laundry. So today, laundry is going to go on my list because if I don't take care of that now, I'm going to regret it later. So there isn't a right answer. And this is why we make our to-do list each and every day, because we have to, for ourselves, answer that question. Is this where my time and attention need to go today? I always put homeschooling on my top 3 on homeschool days. And it's not because if I don't, I won't do it, but it's because homeschooling takes up like my whole morning. It takes up so many hours that if I felt like I could do 3 more things on top of homeschooling, I would be wrong. So, I don't break it down and say like my top 3 are morning time and math and class. Yeah, I teach a grading class. I just put homeschool, and I know what pieces and parts that means each day. But I need to acknowledge to myself that I don't then have space for other things. That's going to take up this chunk of my day. And if it does take up a chunk of my day, I'm doing the right thing. I get the check mark, right? I get the 1/3 of my list done when I do the homeschool, because that is a bulk of my responsibility for the day. So my top 3 is acknowledging my current reality. The slides will be included with the replay. So when I send out the link with the replay, and it will include the slides and also a little bit more that we'll get to at the end. So the daily card is a way to bring focus to your day. It's short, so it's easy to read. And, when we have a long list of things to do, we actually end up spending time reading the list and filtering through it. And the daily card with only 3 things on it allows us to focus, to hone in on what's important, to not get lost or feel like we're drowning in a super long list that we need to spend time thinking through whenever we look at it. It's super easy to just see what we need to do. No filtering required, no decoding required. It's just look at it and you're like, yep, got to homeschool today. I should turn over, and I think I missed a spot on my slide that the format can matter. We can vary. We call it a daily card. An index card works. I love a Post-it note, just a 3x3, because I find the small size is a good reminder to myself that my time is limited, just like that space is limited. I would love if I had a big planner, I could plan. I would fill it all in, and it would look like I could fit a lot in. And what I need to remember is that my day is actually more like a Post-it note than like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I've got to be realistic. And so I need the reminder of a small format item. We have ladies in our community that use a whiteboard, a chalkboard, or even just a magnetic whiteboard on their fridge. So it's a small-ish whiteboard, but it just lives on the fridge, so it's super visible. Maybe your planner or planner pages that you use already have a space for your top 3 for the day. I mean, it's a pretty normal productivity recommendation. This is, not copyrighted, not trademarked. I am not the one who invented your daily top 3. A lot of planners that you get will actually have a place for you to identify what your top 3 are for the day. That counts. That would be your daily card. Wherever you write down your top 3 for the day, that's your daily card. People use a note on their phone, all kinds of, like, the format doesn't really matter. It's the exercise of choosing the top 3. Our second productivity problem as the busy moms is that we don't know our priorities. Probably we haven't spent the time thinking about it, figuring it out. And really, it takes practice. And so what I find is that a lot of times women will want to find their priorities and try to find their priorities. It won't really work for them the first 1 or 2 times. And so they'll think that they just can't. It's not for them. They're not good enough at it. It might work for some people, but it just doesn't work for them. And it's not true. It just takes practice and figuring out your priorities once isn't actually enough. We like to think of almost all of our productivity or organization projects as once and done. I'm going to figure this out, and from then on, things are going to be awesome. When really it's a constant reevaluation, renegotiation. We have to be engaged and involved with our life. That doesn't stop or end. Being organized doesn't mean that it no longer requires effort and brain power to run your life. So when you choose your priorities, it really is a day-by-day thing. And you get practice so that you're not starting from absolute scratch each and every day. But each and every day, it might be totally different depending on where you're at in life and where your family is at. But unless we do identify our priorities, we don't have them. And not everything can be a priority, right? So unless we've narrowed down what's important and figured that out, we don't have priorities. We won't have clarity. We won't know what to pick when push comes to shove and we feel scattered and distracted. Figuring out our priorities, identifying, and then working from them takes practice. More than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, more than a week. But the more that we practice, the better we get at it. So I'm really sad that I can't see the chat now, but if we have ladies from our community, or maybe you've picked a top 3 already, it's something that you do or you've done in the past, share how long you've been doing it and whether or not it made sense at first. The last several podcast episodes of Simplified Organization, and then I think the next 1 or 2 are interviews with ladies on what their experience was trying to put the daily card habit into practice, into play in their life, and how many iterations it really took, and how it didn't seem like it was a big deal or going to work at first, but really sticking with it for a time made it become the most important piece of, that sense of feeling like you're doing the right thing in a day. It really is worth the time to practice it, which is why we're here today, which is why all the episodes on both of my podcasts this month are all about the daily card, because it takes convincing. You do not have to have it figured out before you start, because you are going to figure it out by starting. Let's see, Lisa texted over a question from Kendra. Does having a list to choose from help, like breaking down larger tasks? Yes, it does. Actually, in our community, we have ladies pick a weekly top 3, and then it's most effective when the daily top 3 can come from that weekly top 3. And then we also have a running list, which we're not working from all the time, but there are other things that we're going to do in a day, right? We're not just going to do 3 things. We have habit lists. There are other pieces and parts. But when we've chosen 3 things that are really going to make a difference today, then the other things kind of find their level. They happen or they don't. And it's not that big of a deal because we are putting our time and attention where it matters most. The daily card, the real benefit of the daily card is keeping those priorities that we've chosen in front of our face, front and center, bigger font. If there's a habit checklist we're working on, if there's a side project or a running list with all kinds of small tasks, then the top 3 needs to be like front and center, bigger font, in front of our face. There was a time where I kept it on a Post-it note on my phone, like even over the screen. There was a time where smiling was one of my top 3 because working on my attitude and our home atmosphere was my priority. And so even though it didn't feel productive, that was where my time and attention needed to be. That was what was going to give me the biggest bang for my buck in my goals for our home, was just making it a habit to smile more. That can be one of your top 3 things. Especially because that can be the kind of thing that is just not on our radar at all. And so the top 3 gives us a place to have a radar, to keep our priorities front and center, and to really make progress where it matters, and not just where the urgent things are really pressing in on us and consuming all of our time and attention, when there are more important things that we should be focusing on. Then the third issue is that there are too many distractions. We have a lot of distraction options, more so all the time. When I was a young mom with little kids, I didn't have a smartphone. Very few people did. It was not normal. It was before Instagram existed. Facebook was just on your computer, and I wasn't even on Facebook. I would still get distracted, right? I could get distracted by a squirrel out of the window, but the squirrel is not trying to keep my eyeballs on it. Like the squirrel doesn't get paid for me staring at it, unlike Facebook and Twitter and all the things. So we have to be extra intentional now with the different options that we have, with the new habits that we are all trying to manage and figure out. And so Distraction can easily become a coping mechanism. And so when we feel overwhelmed and when we feel like there's too much to do, that makes it so much easier to just slip into our phone and get the feeling like we are being productive and yet not and actually be wasting our time. But we get a little dopamine hit for like we did something and we didn't do anything. So when we have a top 3 chosen and selected, it can be a tangible, visible thing that we can use to redirect our attention. It can help us be more resistant to the pull of zoning out on our phone because we just don't have the bandwidth to choose what to do next. The choice is really easy because we've narrowed it down to 3 things. So we don't have to just like figure out by thinking in our heads, what should I do next? It's like, are my top 3 done? That's what I should do. There's no processing that we need to do. And a lot of times we pick up our phones and open them up because we just really don't have the bandwidth for more processing. The daily card helps with that so much. But the other thing that I wanted to say about distraction is that our children are not distractions, and our husband is not a distraction, and also dinner is not a distraction. But when we fill our brain space and our attention with the wishful thinking productivity, with goals for cleaning or organizing that are mostly aesthetic rather than functional, then we know we're off track when the people feel like the problem getting in the way of our goals. Because our goals and our productivity should be about serving and helping those people to flourish. So therefore, giving them our time and attention isn't a distraction. It's the duty. It's the work. And it's our idea or vision of our picture perfect home that's actually the distraction. It's our desire for color-coded, alphabetized files that's actually the distraction to the real work of loving our people. So not everything that we call a distraction is a distraction. We need to be very careful about what we are calling things in our head. We talk about this a lot in Convivial Circle. I have a course called Organize Your Attitude, and the first module is Tell a True Story. It's one of the first steps in my book, Simplified Organization. Tell a true story. Notice the story that you're telling and make sure it's true. And so if the story that you are telling yourself is that your children are distracting you, then you have to take a step back and say, distracting me from what? What are my goals? What is my vision? What is my real work? And what is the real distraction? Am I telling myself a true story about my life? And having 3 things written down that you've decided this really does matter, and then doing those 3 things helps you to tell a more true story about your life. Because you check those boxes and you're like, I had hoped that I would get more done today, but you know what? I did the things that mattered. That's what counts. That's a more true story, and we are going to grow in our capacity and in our cheerful handling of life when we're functioning in a true version of our story in our head. So the daily card is also a tactic that helps us to keep our story on track. So, it does still, doing the daily card does take practice. And that's why in Convivial Circle, it's one of our main focuses. Convivial Circle, again, is our community that helps women to excel at homemaking, to grow in faithfulness and fruitfulness at home, to tell a true story about their life, to smile more and do the things that matter. And the daily card helps us to do that. And so I know many of you already have downloaded the Daily Card Challenge. This is a freebie that is available, and I'll include the link to this printable, this daily, there we however that works, whatever direction, on the screen. There we go. This daily card challenge gives you ways to set yourself up for daily card success, and it gives you a chance there to practice it 20 times, right? There are 20 hearts there. And if you do a daily card 20 times, you will start to get the hang of it, and you'll start to make it your own, and it will start to work for you 20 times. So this is a little kind of personal accountability, personal challenge to help you improve your focus and productivity in your life at home. And in May, actually, for Convivial Circle, our whole monthly topic, we do a new monthly topic every month. And we're going to do a daily card challenge in our community. It'll be this same checklist. It'll have dates and a little bit more on it, but 20 times in May, not every single day in May, 20 times in May, do a daily card. And everyone who does that and then fills out the assessment at the end, which is where the assessments help us to reflect on what we learned, what did work and what didn't work. Everyone who does that is going to get a daily card Post-it pad. I have these in my shop, but mostly I have them to give away as prizes. So a little top 3 daily card Post-it note, they're real Post-its. They're pretty high quality. A little pad of 50 top 3 notes. I use these for my weekly top 3, actually. And then I have a spot on my planner for the daily top 3. But I like the more visual, colorful, standout thing for my weekly top 3. So just however you want to use it. And then, so a pad would last me for a year, right? If I used one a week, it's pretty handy. So everyone who completes the challenge inside Convivial Circle as a member will get a Post-it note with some stickers, and I'm about to do the giveaway for the stickers here. So good job hanging with me through this whole workshop. Let's see, Lisa, you want to start picking people and tell me in Slack? Let's do 5 different people who've been participating in the chat to give a sticker pack to. So one of the fun things that we do when we have a monthly topic, like the daily card challenge will be, is that there is always a chat room. You can see on the phone picture there, that's our chat space. The chat space will be all about the daily card. Everyone will be talking about what is working, what isn't working, what they've tried, their questions, their struggles, their wins. Our community is drama-free. It really is incredible to have, hundreds of women chatting about their real lives and asking questions and all that, and no drama. And that's not because we delete comments or anything. For the most part, we do have a policy, but we don't hardly ever have to use it because everyone in there is just sincerely trying to live their life for God's glory in the best way that they can. And we are also sincerely helping one another out. And so it's a great place for camaraderie and for getting insights, for thinking out of the box, because you're just getting so many different people's iterations that it really stimulates the application and the creative thinking and problem solving and feeling like you're a part of something and not just out on your own, not sure whether or not anything works really. And then also for our monthly topic, every week I hop on and do about a half-hour talk, kind of like this, but less intense, and the technology actually is a lot smoother inside our community. There's an app and a desktop thing in Convivial Circle, and you can get 20% off with the code CEO Day if you enroll in the next 24 hours. So that's the bonus that everyone is eligible for. It is $24.99 a month. So, if getting on top of your life saves you one trip out to eat per month, if, one emergency takeout night, instead, you could be growing in your ability to handle real everyday life with joy and gratitude, and less than $24.99 with in the next 24 hours with the code CEO Day. So you can find more about that at convivialcircle.com. And Lisa has the winners: Rebecca Sawyer, Angela Bamford, Karen Dooley, Kendra Souter, and Shauna Wright. So if I said your name, then email support@simplifiedorganization.com. Maybe Lisa can put that chat or that email address in the chat. Lisa will then get your address, or you can send your address to that email address, and I will send you a little sticker and bookmark pack. So congratulations and thank you for coming, everyone, but especially Rebecca, Angela, Karen, Kendra, and Shauna. All right. And we would love to have you participate in our daily card challenge for the month of May inside Convivial Circle. And I will be sending all of you who have registered the slides, the replay, the daily card challenge printable, this little file right here. And I would just love to see more and more Christian women really digging in and doing their work with dignity and joy and diligence and being effective homemakers. Titus 2 says that when women are living out their Christian life practically in the home, loving husbands, loving kids, serving people, this is what makes the Word of God respected in the culture. It's when women abandon their post and trash talk their work and think and call the life that they've been called to boring or mundane or tedious, that it says the Word of God is blasphemed. We want the opposite. We want the Word of God to be honored and considered and reverenced in our homes and in the world. And we can do that by honoring it ourselves and really embracing the life of homemaking and hospitality and building up people that is women's particular work. I've got links, lots of articles on that on my blog and on the podcast. So I just hope that you are encouraged, that your everyday life at home is not meaningless. It does matter, and it does matter. We can do it with joy and satisfaction, with fruitfulness and faithfulness. We can learn to love what must be done because it is good work that God has given us to do. So we can do it well for His glory, and He will use that in ways that we can't even predict or imagine. So thank you so much for coming today, and I will be putting all this together and sending you out an email in the next hour or so. So thank you, everyone, and I will talk to you later. Now I just have to figure out how to stop the live since my screen went all wonky on me.